You're listening to Wild Things and Wild Places, a Muley Fanatic Foundation podcast that aims to discuss issues and efforts related to the Muley Fanatic Foundation mission, the conservation of mule deer, furthering the sport of hunting, and sound wildlife management.
Everybody knows I'm a Muley Fanatic.
It's time for Wild Things and Wild Places. And here's your guide, Joshua Coursey.
Welcome to another episode of Wild Things and Wild Places. Joining me today from MFF Headquarters, Joey Fagel, Chris Steffen. Welcome, gents.
Morning.
It is that time of year. The calendar launch has occurred. We've been talking about this. People have seen some emails, but some big changes to the calendar, and I thought we should at least do a podcast specific to this. It's a critical fundraising component for the foundation. It's truly one of our largest fundraisers that we've facilitated on an annual basis. Very important to the operation, but a lot of changes with the calendar. Obviously, if you've seen some of the emails, the calendar has gone to the digital form, jumped into the 21st century. Let's talk about that a little bit and the decision to do that, the surveys that were sent out, the response from folks to help move us in this direction. But then really the big benefit to why we've done this and how that has increased what the offering really is.
We had some comments from folks prior this last year about, really, I don't need 3 printed calendars, or you guys do a lot of stuff digitally, so why don't you guys just move into that and not have that big cost of printing, which has gone up quite a bit. Bidenomics, it's just everything's going up in price. So it was really good for as far as designing it. It wouldn't have a deadline to where we'd have to have it submitted to the print shop. And it just makes things a little bit easier and simpler. And the way this digital form works is you can look at it anytime you want. You can scroll through it. You can print it at home, multiple copies, whatever you want to do. You could have someone professionally do it if you want to. But it's accessible at all times on your PC, mobile phone, whatever it may be. But the cost of printing has just gone up so high, and that just allowed us to really put forth the effort of finding some good firearms for this calendar. And so far, with the surveys and everything else, people have all for it and really enjoyed it so far that I've heard. There's been a couple that want some printed copies, but we can create a list for that to where we can get some printed copies sent out for some folks.
Yeah, that's important to make note, is that if someone does want, and certainly there are those that either displayed that at their office or at their home or in their garage, man cave, whatever the case may be. There were some that did like that, and we are going to be able to accommodate that. But in addition to the printing costs of the calendar, the other big savings that really allowed us to shift our focus to really where you came into play on this, Chris, with the quality of firearms, was that also dispelled some of those obligations that we had with shipping costs of these calendars, which when you think 3,500 calendars and you're shipping these out, even postage has gone up. And those calendars, on average, to mail one of those calendars and look at that collectively, that was thousands of dollars that we were able to save by going digitally. We didn't change what we're looking to have in our gross to net from this calendar. So that extra allocation of funds that was saved by going to a digital calendar instead of a printed calendar and then not having to ship, those funds were used to really increase the quality of the firearms. And Chris, you put a great deal of effort into that. I can't recall a calendar in the past that we've ever had offerings that included Gunworks, but that's just one of many that you were able to really put forth the effort to offer a significant increase of quality in what our offering includes.
Yeah, this is year, 7? Gun calendar?
Yep, year 7.
And kind of Joey and I always juggle or combine with efforts to try to get the guns. He'll throw out ideas, suggestions. So we work together. And then, so I would say that our gun calendar has always been really good. It's always just looking at some of the other kind of similar calendars from other organizations like us. It seems like our calendar's always been top notch as far as firearms, but just wanted to take it that one step further this year, given the fact, and not necessarily in my mind, just because we were going digital, but like you mentioned, keeping our ratios the same, it gave us a little bit more money to invest back into those firearms. Off of our mule deer days where we offer the 200 gun raffle, this last year for Mule Deer Days. I made it a point to try to up the ante a little bit with that and put some better quality guns in that, and then just that carried over into the gun calendar. So yeah, Gunworks, Seekins Precision. Of course, we deal with Weatherby a great deal, one of our strong partners. I increased the amounts of those guns, worked with Coulter there at Weatherby and got some additional Weatherby firearms. So I think we have, 4 shotguns in this calendar. Typically we have more, and that part and parcel is because typically shotguns are a little lower cost, lower price point, so I can add some of those in and reduce kind of the overall budget and cost. But the 4 that we put in there this year are all high level Weatherbys, and really so just across the board. And even the normal amount, I guess you would call it, that we get through Davidson's Wholesale, their firearms company, I just tried to take that to the next level too.
Yeah, I think when you look at it collectively for the 12-month offering, each month has, just as you said, Chris, the next level of what we've been able to offer in the past. And so I do think that there's been a tremendous benefit to that. When you talk about the partnerships, specifically with Gunworks and Weatherby, both those Wyoming-based firearm manufacturers, they offer some high-end, very quality stuff. And for me, when I tried to look at this from afar, it was, if you're going to win a gun, what do you want to win? And I think ultimately for me, it would be, I would want to win something that I don't have because I can't afford to get it. I think the $100 offering, 138 firearms in this calendar, I think that's pretty freaking incredible.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited to see what the response of people is going to be if they win a Mark V or they win a Gunworks. Those quality and that class of firearms, it's parallel to, you're going to drop a few grand to secure one of those, and that's not something that everybody can do. The pictures on the calendar, Joey, you put a lot of time into that. Even though it's a digital calendar, you still maintain the quality of what we've established over the previous 6 years. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's always another challenge, just trying to decide what kind of photos we're going to include in this. I've had many comments of they just really want mule deer photos. Trying to find photographers that are willing to donate those, because, again, there's some that you have to purchase to put in for copyright purposes and stuff like that. So it's always a big challenge to try and find the right photos that can be donated to us. If we have to purchase, it's a low cost. There's a lot of expenses into this calendar, and once again, it's, we're trying to save on it so more money comes back to the cause. This digital form will still maintain the same photo and even high quality. If you even look at that digitally, the quality stays the same. But yeah, the photos, it's always a challenge, and I try and find, we all want to see that monster buck, but we also want to see the does and fawns. Trying to keep it related to each month as their stage goes, is from whether they're shedding their antlers or fawn time during May and June. I still try to find those photos that just relate to the months. But I think this year we got some high quality photos again, and they work well. And it's just always trying to find that one big buck that you want to include into it as well for all those folks that are trophy hunters.
Yeah, I think you've always done a good job with, you're looking at a picture of a deer in February and he's not on summer range. It's seasonal, and you've done a good job to be able to match that up. For the guy who likes to buy multiple calendars, whether that's just increasing their own odds, or the guy who's buying multiple calendars for his staff or his company or his family for Christmas gifts or whatever that case may be, still the same offering is there. And if you're wanting to give this and buy multiple calendars, but you want to do many of these as gifts for other people, it still applies. There's still that surprise factor of being able to handle having this being purchased for a gift. And you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, everything has stayed the same as in the past. It's just you're not receiving that physical. But like I said, we are accepting some phone calls. If you'd like a hard copy, we can get some printed up for you. That will be an additional charge for that because, yes, again, we have to cover the cost of that calendar plus the shipping going out. And like you said, the shipping going out, it depends on what part of the country you live on. It's outrageous just to ship one calendar to the East Coast. You can also, like I said, you can print this off the digital form and provide that to someone if you're gifting it to them. You can still print it just high quality and everything, or go down to your local shop. That way you're supporting your community and have them print something nice for you. There's just so many more options with that digital form. But yeah, you could do the same thing. If it's a gift, you could let them know. And when you purchase a calendar, Janet sends out a confirmation, your calendar number, just like you did on the printed copy. And if you're giving it to a gift, she will also provide a little gift or a certificate showing that this is a gift that you can also print out and provide to the individual that you're gifting it to.
Yeah, and I think that becomes really key, especially if you're giving this to your brother-in-law, father-in-law, mother-in-law. I hate to think that it's just guys buying this calendar, but you do have something tangible that you can provide, so you're not just saying, hey, I bought you a calendar, check your email, or I'll send you a link. There is a certificate there, and then it gets registered under that individual's name. They're in the drawings. And speaking of drawings, Chris, let's talk a little bit about the process of the drawings, how we've historically done that isn't looking to change with this being a digital calendar, and what the process is of when you draw the winner's name, how that is announced, and what that looks like for folks that may have not been familiar with this calendar offering in the past.
Yeah, so it is changing a little bit this year, going back to what we used to do back in the day, which was physically drawing a ticket from a drum. We just looked and analyzed at the electronic drawing. We utilize that for a lot of internal raffle drawings. And we just thought this year maybe it's time to just physically draw from a drum. So we are doing that this year. So all those, just like all the other ones we've ever done, they'll be videoed so you can see. So there's no question of who's winning, and that'll be posted to our YouTube page. But yeah, we'll physically draw from a drum. As always, we always call the winners.
Always.
There's a very rare few times that I run into, because typically I'm the one that reaches out to the winners. Sometimes it's Janet, but I've had occasion where somebody's phone number got inputted wrong. For whatever reason, I cannot contact them by phone. I've stalked people on Facebook. Especially if it's like a Wyoming person. I've looked them up, but not always Wyoming. I've looked.
Your law enforcement background has been very key for this.
I research. I do my best. We don't just go, well, that they didn't answer, or they didn't come back as a valid number, or for whatever it is. We're going to draw again. I just keep trying. I will email at that point. Hope for a response, and 9 times out of 10, if the phone's messed up, phone number's messed up, they email, and then I call them and talk to them. And yeah, then the charges for shipping, as always with the gun calendar, we pay those, we cover that. And that's another thing that has continually increased in price. We use UPS, and they're a great service, but they have gone up in price.
Like
right along with everything else.
Yeah.
Yep. That does deviate a little bit from like our 200 gun raffle, where we charge $60 for the gun winners to help cover the cost. It very rarely covers the cost.
I was going to say the average, you've pegged this, it's anywhere between, depending on where it's going, of course, that is a variable that fluctuates.
Yep.
But some of these firearms are close to $100 to ship.
Yeah, I would say on average anymore, it's probably closer to $70 every firearm.
Right.
And if it also changes, if it's a pistol. If it's a handgun, we have to overnight air or 2-day air it, and then that increases the cost. So yeah, nothing's going down in costs, that's for sure.
Including the cost of firearms.
Yeah.
We've seen an increase across the board with our Life Member offering. We've had to increase that cost of becoming a Life Member because of the increase that Weatherby had with their manufacturing and distribution of their firearms as our partner in our Life Membership offering. It is a reality. I think folks understand that. In addition to calling the winner, emailing the winner, and the efforts that you put forth in making sure that contact is made, there's also the email that goes out that lets folks know, hey, here's this week's winner or this drawing winner. We have had folks that said, man, I'm not getting the emails. And there's always an issue with that. A large part of that is people unsubscribe because of the just amount of emails that we send out. We find that to be a very efficient way to communicate with our supporters and members. There is not a lot of cost in the actual physical mailing of something, but there is a cost in the service that we have to be able to have that database to maintain that contact. And I understand there are some folks that just say, man, you guys send a lot of emails. I got to unsubscribe. I need a break. And if that happens and you're not getting the email, You need to make sure that you haven't unsubscribed or resubscribed so that you are in the loop of the database of what we're reaching out to with information, not just gun calendar winners, but also all the other activities associated with the organization. Joey, in specific regards to managing the database of our contacts, whether it's through MailChimp or Constant Contact or all the services that we have contracts with, there are still folks that say, man, I don't get your emails. And some of that we've tried to do a deep dive into this. Some of it is because we're a .org and some firewalls just absolutely block that. But if folks aren't getting emails from us, what's the best step for them to put forward in trying to maintain and ensure that they're getting our information?
Yeah, first, just start off and make sure we have the accurate, because like Chris just said, the phone number is not the only thing that gets inputted in correctly. When people make orders, they're typing all that stuff in, and it only takes one big fat finger to put the wrong letter or a dot somewhere wrong, all that stuff. Just give us a call at the office, just ensure that we have the right email address.
And if need be, always check your spam folder.
Always. Our .orgs do go to junk folders a lot. Majority of the Gmail accounts, or if you're a government agency that has that email address, those will definitely probably get spammed. So always check that. If you're still not getting it, we could keep trying to do a little test and send that and figure it out. But if not, you unfortunately would have to contact whatever account you're using. Another thing is once you unsubscribe and you resubscribe, it may take some time before it gets filtered back into your inbox out of that spam folder again. So you're just keep defeating the process by doing that. So I'm not saying it just to keep us in your system. I'm just saying it could be a pain if you want to continue to receive some of those calendar winner announcements or anything else about the organization.
The bottom line is if you do win, just know that we will pursue every effort to make sure that you are contacted. We're not going to just say, hey, sorry, we couldn't reach you, we're redrawing. It doesn't work like that. In addition to us sending out the emails with the announcement of the winner and the efforts that, Chris, you put forth, we'll make sure that you're contacted. Calendar numbers haven't changed. Still 3,500 calendars. Last year, they sold out very early. So we wanted to get this podcast out first part of in September, knowing that they'll be gone by December. So again, if you're interested in supporting this effort, supporting the mission of Muley Fanatic Foundation, you want one of these calendars, act to date numbers on where the sales are already.
Yeah, we're inching closer to 2,000. We're well ahead of where we were last year already.
Yeah, act now is the message. If you want the calendar, get on it. Chris, specific to the firearms, there's a great lineup, as we've talked already, about the quality of the firearms. Is there one particular firearm in there that really just jumps out to you individually that you're like, this would be cool? I would imagine that's probably some of the enjoyment of you doing this and facilitating, securing these firearms for this offering is you get to have a little bit of your own. And I know you stay up on the trends. You were very quick this year at the beginning of the year and late last year to say, hey, 7PRC has replaced the 6.5 Creedmoor as the hot, trendy cartridge that everybody's wanting. And so you stay up on that. But is there one that you're really just excited to see someone win?
I think the whole partnership with Gunworks is relatively new. We got into that before the last Mule Deer days. And of course, those are right at the very beginning of the calendar year for 2025 that we'll give those away. Like you mentioned, a gun that perhaps you would want but never be able to afford yourself.
Right.
I've had the pleasure of, we've had the Gunworks rifles in for Mule Deer days. I've got to hold them and fondle them. And that's across the board with so many of these great gun manufacturers, the Weatherbys. They're constantly coming out with new models anymore, and it's almost tough for me. And I get the inside emails, and I still can't keep up. But yeah, the Gunworks rifles are going to be exciting. The Seekins Precision rifles, I'm familiar with them. They're a very small company out of Idaho. They do sell to retailers, but they're still building them one at a time, and they're guaranteed for life. You don't find many or any manufacturers that I'm aware of that guarantee a rifle for life. It doesn't matter what you do to it. You drop it off a cliff, bring it into them, they'll replace it or they'll fix it. We've got 10 of those in the gun calendar, the Christensen Arm of Oaks. which are a brand new model that they just released at SHOT Show this February. They're going to be cool to see. I have not seen one in person. I'm hoping, because those were supposed to have been in our hands a while back, and I still haven't gotten any of them. So those are going to be cool. But yeah, I think all the guns, not knock at Joey, I always bust on him a little bit for the gun calendar or whatever else. When I got to call somebody and tell them they won like a 22, which is very rare in our gun calendars, but still, I'm like, oh man, I got to call this person and tell them they won I won't have that issue this upcoming year.
Yeah.
Every one of them is going to be super exciting to call, and I can only imagine the reaction.
Speaking of that, you've heard many different adjectives and words over the years when you make those calls.
Oh, man.
Is there a common theme to those calls of what you normally hear?
I often get...
This isn't regulated by the FCC.
Okay.
So you can quote it.
I often get quite frequently get the, are you shitting me? My buddies at work put you up to this, right? This is a joke, right? And they're like, no, you won. Yeah, you get all sorts of reactions. Some people are pretty melancholy about it, but most people are
pretty dang
excited. And yeah, I can only imagine, hey, you just won a $8,000 Gunworks rifle.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Or any of them really. It's just it's gonna be cool.
I like the ones where you call and they're really calm and everything, and you're like, wow, he wasn't too excited about that. Then he calls back later.
Yeah.
Sorry, man, I was at work.
Yeah,
I couldn't get too excited.
Yeah, that occasionally happens. They call back. They call more to be like, okay, if I call them, then I can verify that it isn't somebody jerking my chain, messing with me. And then they're like Joey said, oh, I'm not at work. And then the screaming and the hooting and the hollering starts and stuff like that, which it's cool. It's very cool.
That is cool. The one firearm I can tell you that I'm excited that we were able to include in this offering was the 2024 MFF Gun of the Year, chambered in 7 PRC. It's a custom piece. It's not something you can buy off the shelf anywhere else. I've had the opportunity to shoot one of these with the Lucid Optics folks in Wyoming Tactical in Riverton, and this is a heck of a good weapon. This one comes complete with a scope, with a case, comes with a course where you can shoot this rifle. I went through this course a couple of weeks ago with Jason and the other Jason from Wyoming Tactical, and shooting that mile gong at the end of the day and hitting it 3 out of the 5 times. This is a dialed in weapon, and it's a beautiful piece. So I'm glad we were able to include some of these in this offering. 138 guns, $100 gets you in on all 138 drawings. That works out to be about 72 cents a drawing. And you can win multiple times. That's the thing, especially even though it was done this way digitally, but even more so when you're looking at this drum and the physical drawing of a ticket. I don't know what the odds are. Somebody way above my pay grade could figure this out. But from a digital random drawing to a random drawing in the drum, bottom line is your stub is back in the drum if you win. So you're in on all these drawings for basically 72 cents a drawing for the $100 bill it costs. I think it's an incredible offering. It's certainly an important offering for the foundation. We're glad over the previous 6 years that we built the following where this sells out. There was initially those first couple of years where there was a lot of effort exhausted even into the beginning of the turning of the calendar to get them sold out. And we've had several supporters that have just at the end say, hey, I'll take 50 of these and write a $5,000 check just to help us meet the goal. We're no longer in that spot. We've been able to build the audience and the following, but it does take time. And it's taken 7 years for us to get to this point. We appreciate and are thankful for all those that have supported this in the past and continue to support it. Any final parting shots on the calendar? This is a cool offering this year. And I just feel, as you said, Chris, I feel like we've raised the bar to the next level. And I'm excited to see the folks that are participating in this, the enjoyment and excitement that comes from winning.
Honestly, think this is probably one of the best calendars we've put out. May not be a printed copy, but it's probably the best, the highest quality type calendar we've had. And I'm excited. Everybody's getting really interested into it, and we're selling it out earlier. And those that do not like our emails, the sooner we sell it out, the sooner emails will stop coming to you. So if everybody from last year just bought one calendar, we'd be practically sold out right now. And I know times are tough right now and everything else, but I just appreciate everybody's continued support. I know I get the emails of, I've been buying this calendar for so many years and I'm still not a winner, but I'm still going to buy a calendar because I support you guys. Really appreciate those emails. It's just good to hear and everything else. So I really appreciate those. And I really hope some of those long-term people do finally win something like a Gunworks firearm.
Yeah, please drop Bob Budd's name.
Yeah. So
every time I run into Bob, Tuesday, you'll be calling me.
Yeah.
I hope so. Someday, Bob. I promise you. Someday.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just appreciate everybody's support. I appreciate the businesses that we have built great relationships with. They've been fantastic with us, and I appreciate all the effort that Chris puts into this thing with those firearms and getting us to that budget that we need it to, and most of the time stays a little bit below it. But yeah, I think it's a fantastic fundraiser, and it's very important for the organization as well.
Yeah. Chris, parting shots on the calendar?
I just wanted to mention all the work that Janet does with this. Just like she's gone next week, and I offered to take care of the sending the emails with the calendar numbers, and then she started walking through everything you have to do, and I was like, yeah, I don't think you want me to screw that up. And going back on what you said with $100, they can auto-subscribe. That's $75. So there is a new auto-subscription. So even if you have been auto-subscribed to the calendar in years past, we had to change the app, which Janet had to do a ton of research on to find a good one that would do what we wanted it to do. Not all these things. I stay out of this part. It's Joey and Janet, but it's not plug and play. Sometimes we have to tweak things and do all sorts of stuff to get them to work right. So she did a lot of work to get that working, and just continues to do a lot of work in sending out all the calendar things, emails, and keeping the numbers associated with the customer to put onto the ticket stub, to put in the drum is, it's a lot of work.
It's a heavy lift. I can tell you that. It is a heavy lift, and you guys do a great job in making sure this runs as seamless as possible. Is it perfect? It's hard to be perfect, but we try, and I think that's what folks should know, is that the effort to make this as seamless as possible, that's technology. And when you're working with technology, it doesn't always work like you want it to. There is some trial and error, and there will be some trial and error that'll come from this. We'll learn something from this year's offering that we'll be able to implement and correct and move forward for next year. But we're going to keep trying, and we're going to continue to always try to put our best foot forward to offer a quality product and a quality offering that is user-friendly as possible. So thank you for the patience of everybody that supported this, recognizing that there's a lot of moving parts behind the scenes that you may not be aware of, but you can rest assured that we're putting our best effort forward to make this as good as we can for your enjoyment and your satisfaction.
Yeah.
And drop Bob Budd's name.
Yeah.
Drop Bob Budd's name.
If we had $1 for every time
we would have to sell calendars.
Yeah, we would not need to sell calendars.
And one good point I'd like to add to this is this digital form. It's on our website and everything, where you can actually physically look at it before you even purchase it now. In the past, you had to purchase it before you could even see anything that's real, all the images and all that stuff. So this is the other benefit about that digital form, is you can actually see every single piece that's in that calendar before you even purchase it. So you know what you're getting. But
yeah, follow the link. Go to the website, muleyfanatic.org. Click on calendars. You can get your calendar today. Again, 3,500 total calendars. We're at about 2,000, as Joey indicated, now already sold. It launched at the beginning of August, and we're more than halfway there, and we still got a few more months till the end of the year. But and that being said, those that are in the 2024 calendar, if you haven't won one yet, there's still hope, Bob Bud.
Yeah.
There's still many more drawings to happen. Yeah, thank you, everyone, for your support of Muley Fanatic Foundation and moving the MFF mission forward. This is a critical fundraiser that the organization took on 6 years ago, almost 7 now. And really, it was motivated by the fact that we needed to find a way to be able to foolproof the organization, to not be dependent on, at that time we had no idea what the pandemic would provide in shutting down chapter gatherings and banquets, but really help make the organization more durable for its overall finances to be able to continue to operate and move forward on a daily basis the mission. So again, thank you, and get your calendar today. 2025 calendars available now. Muley Fanatic Foundation, muleyfanatic.org. Until next time, happy trails.
And that wraps up another episode of Wild Things and Wild Places. But remember, the journey doesn't end here. Make sure you never miss out by subscribing. Whether you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, streaming us on our website, or following us on social media, subscribing is the best way to stay connected. Thank you for joining us, and stay tuned for more wild episodes.
Everybody knows I'm a Muley Fanatic.